Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome to another Pro Wrestling Talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. So, AEW Full Gear 2022 is officially in the books, and I just wanted to get on here and give my thoughts and recap the entire pay per view. So, let's get right into it. So we had 13 total matches. 3 of them were on the pre-show. They kicked off with the 0 hour, Full Gear 0 hour. This was a 10-man tag team match. You had the team of Chaos, made up of Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor, Rocky Romero, and Danhausen, taking on the Factory, made up of the leader QT Marshall. You had Aaron Solo, Lee Johnson, Nick Camarado, and Cole Carter. Overall, this was a pretty good match. I really liked how they showcased some of Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta's double teaming skills, as they are, they were Roppongi Vice, as well as Beretta and Chucky T. And of course, the Factory, did what they usually do, with the cheap tactics and such. And they even taunted Best Friends by them doing the giving the people what they want, doing the group hug. So I thought that was a pretty cool spot. But ultimately, Danhausen was the difference maker. Danhausen was the difference maker, put the teeth into play in Nick Camarado's mouth, and then just knocked him silly with teeth in his mouth, and was able to get the victory for the team. So Danhausen showcasing his true evil side, and he busts out the jar of teeth, as well as a little thin metal spike as well. But Chaos pulled off the victory thanks to Danhausen, and of course they celebrated with a group hug together. But pretty decent match. 10-man tag, pretty decent match. Okay, we had the second semifinal match of the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. This was the Machine, Brian Cage versus Absolute Ricky Starks. I thought this was also a pretty solid match. It felt like Brian Cage was in control most of the time, being that Absolute Ricky Starks was still, recovering and dealing with even the attacks that he had from Lance Archer, who he defeated. But, at the time where this match was originally going to happen, Ricky Starks wasn't cleared, so they had it tonight. It was still a good match. Absolute Ricky Starks was able to pull it off. Took a couple of tries, but was able to hit Brian Cage with a Rochambeau to put him away, and he advances to the finals to face Ethan Page, which that match will happen on Dynamite, the upcoming Dynamite. And then, of course, whoever wins gets a shot at the AEW World Championship at Winter is Coming. So, congratulations to Ricky Starks. He's punched his ticket to the finals. And then the main event of the pre-show, 0 hour, came down to a very special dream match. This was Eddie Kingston taking on the legendary Jun Akiyama. This is an opponent of Eddie Kingston that he has always wanted to go against ever since he was young. And, Jun Akiyama just recently hit 30 years wrestling in the business, so he's got a lot of mileage on him. But, I thought it was really cool how this match went. I mean, both went back and forth. I thought the selling was great. I thought the strikes and strong style and just the overall wrestling between these two was great. And you know what? They both looked awesome in this match. And sure enough, it took a couple of back fists from the future, but Eddie Kingston was able to put away Jun Akiyama after one last back fist from the future. Gets the 1, 2, 3, and I just thought it was such a great feeling to see Eddie Kingston. He broke down into tears right after getting the victory, and he even, you know, showed respect to Jun Akiyama. They showed respect to each other, bowing to each other, handshake and a hug, and just, you know what? I was really, really happy for Eddie Kingston. You know, not just only being able to pull off the victory. I mean, that's awesome, but also that he embraced and got a chance to have his dream match. You know what I mean? I mean, he looks up to a lot of big Japanese, big names. You know, Kenta Kobashi. You know, Kawada-san, Mitsuhara Misawa. You know, a lot of big names. Jun Akiyama is one of them. You know what I mean? So it's really, I think it's really awesome to see him get the chance to wrestle one of his idols. You know what I mean? Jumbo Surata, I forgot to mention him as well, but yeah, he got to wrestle Jun Akiyama, one of his idols, and you know he teared up, and you know I'm just really happy for Eddie Kingston, and just you know him and Ortiz embraced afterwards, and I know it may seem like you know he was breaking character, but in all honesty, I thought this was a great moment for Eddie Kingston. You know, to be able to wrestle one of his idols, you know, not only wrestle him, but defeat him. They put on a great match. And, you know, the sign of respect from Akiyama-san was really cool. So that was quite a way to end the pre-show. I mean, some may say that should have been on the main card. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, the fact that Eddie Kingston got to wrestle Jun Akiyama was just a big blessing. You know, so I'm thankful and happy for him. Very thankful and happy for him. Okay, the main card kicked off with the steel cage match. Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus. Former best friends, former AEW World Tag Team Champions, duking it out inside of a steel cage. Now, the interesting thing about this was a steel cage match, but you can only win by pinfall or submission. Like, because there was a moment where, you know, both superstars were outside of the cage, and you would think, you know, as soon as you escape the cage or go outside the cage, first person to both feet touch the ground, they win. But no, no, no. This was mainly decided by pinfall or submission. There was no escape the cage stipulation. But these two went at it hard. I mean, Jungle Boy got bloodied up early, but he hung in there with Luchasaurus. I mean, there were so many crazy spots back and forth. I mean, Jungle Boy getting choke slammed onto a chair. It was sick. It was really, really sick. And it told a good story. Eventually, Christian Cage got escorted to the back, but gotta give it up for Jungle Boy picking up the victory, hitting that elbow drop spot from the top of the cage onto Luchasaurus through a table, and then locking him into a snare trap and forcing Luchasaurus to tap out. He actually tapped out. So, big victory, but you could tell Jungle Boy was shaking and staggering. I mean, that was a crazy spot, and he took a lot of punishment in this match. But a big victory, being able to submit Luchasaurus. So, now that that's out of the way, I think when the time comes and Christian Cage does heal, you know, we're probably going to finally get that Christian versus Jungle Boy showdown. It's going to be a while, I would think, but it's got to happen at some point. But good victory for Jungle Boy, and of course he hugged his mother and sister after the match, so that was really cool. And then next up, we had the AEW World Trios Championships on the line as Death Triangle, Penta El Cero Miedo, Rey Fenix, and Pac defended the titles against the returning Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. This was definitely my favorite match of the night. Hands down, my favorite match of the night. And it definitely delivered. It delivered in such a big way. I mean, all 6 guys were showcased really, really well. Both teams were fire. And then you got to also remember, I mean, the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros have a lot of history together. You know what I mean? So it's not really surprising. And of course, Kenny Omega and Pac have a lot of history together. So this was really the perfect matchup. But it was back and forth. And, you know, there was a time where Pac gave Phoenix the hammer, didn't use it. And then had another opportunity to use it after he ate a V-trigger from Kenny Omega and was getting hoisted up to eat a one-winged angel. But Pac gave the hammer to Phoenix for a second time. And as he was about to get put away with the one-winged angel, Phoenix actually used the hammer on Kenny Omega and pinned him. 1, 2, 3. And Death Triangle retained the trios titles. Would have never thought that that Phoenix would have used the hammer, and he used the hammer. So I think it's safe to say that Death Triangle are heels now. They gotta be heels now. They got to be. And we're not done. We're not done, because apparently, and I really did not see this coming. So this ended up being the first match in a now announced best of 7 series between these two teams. Like, why? Why does there have to be a best of 7 series, though? Like, I guess, are they just lacking trios teams? Like, why does there have to be a best of 7 series of this? I mean, I'm not hating on this match or this rivalry. I mean, it's nice, but they're really going to have a best of 7 series for this? Like, I don't agree with that. I really don't. Like, is that really necessary? Well, I guess it is what it is. And you know they're gonna go to distance. It's going to go to match 7. They're not gonna just not take it all the way to match 7. So, it's crazy. But Death Triangle still champs for now. Anyway, next up we had the TBS Championship on the line as Jade Cargill, the real champion, defended against Nyla Rose. Shout out to Nyla Rose. Of course, her and Vicky Guerrero and Marina Shafir came out in a lowrider. Shout out to, tribute to Eddie Guerrero. But yeah, they came out in a lowrider. So I thought that was pretty neat. And then, and Jade Cargill came out as Chitara. Chitara from Thundercats. But yeah, which, I mean, I thought was pretty cool. But, this isn't the first time she's done that. Because remember, she once came out as She-Hulk. So, this is nothing surprising. But, yeah, she came out and wrestled as Chitara from Thundercats. So, Thundercats. Whoa! Anyway, the match, I mean, even with Nyla Rose in this match, I mean, Jade Cargill looking like she was gassed. Like, honestly, and she did pick up the victory. She eventually hit the jaded on Nyla Rose. She's 42-0 now, but like I said, her matches have been underwhelming. I mean, she had a more legit opponent tonight, and that's fine. But overall, her 42-0 streak in AEW has been underwhelming. It's been underwhelming. She's barely really wrestled anyone. I mean, let's keep it real, y'all. I mean, I know there's some Jade Cargill fans, but I mean, can any of the Jade Cargill fans out there can y'all even name one match of hers that was legit great? Like, that's my challenge to the Jade fans, because there's none of her matches like are even memorable. You know? I mean, the only thing that I really remember was, her winning the TBS title because she just so happened to beat Ruby Soho for it. But other than that, her matches have been underwhelming, y'all. There have been nothing great or special about them. But that's just me. But I don't really see the draw for Jade Cargill. But as I said before, I don't see her finally losing until after she gets 50 wins. So, we'll see what happens. Okay, next up, we had the Fatal 4-Way for the ROH World Championship. You had the champion, the Ocho, Chris Jericho, defending against Sammy Guevara, Claudio Castagnoli, and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Overall, I thought this was a solid match. Definitely all four stars were showcased. Even not Cesaro, Claudio and Bryan Danielson teamed up some throughout this match, as well as Jericho and Guevara. But, there was going to come a time where, it really was going to be every man for themselves, and it definitely showed. But overall, I thought it was a solid match. And it looked like, for a moment, Sammy Guevara was going to pick up the victory, and that probably would have broke the entire crowd, because there's a lot of folks that pretty much hate Sammy Guevara. But overall, it was a good, solid match. But Jericho was able to take advantage and pretty much hit Judas Effect on, I believe, Claudio and Bryan Danielson. Or no. Claudio and Sammy Guevara, I believe. But yeah, was able to pick up the scraps and get the victory via pinfall and retain the ROH World TV not World TV Championship, the World Championship, the main one. But yeah, overall a good match. But it looks like Jericho's most likely going to hold the title until sometime after they secure an ROH TV deal. Which, I mean, I don't get how that's got to be the name that sells them on the TV deal. And it came at the sacrifice of Claudio's short ROH World Championship reign, which was his first, despite being ROH alumni. I still don't understand the decision in them doing that, but whatever. And of course, it has been announced that Jericho's next challenger will be Tomohiro Ishii, who is a former ROH World Television Champion. So that should be a good match. Should be a really good match. The Stone Pitbull. All right, next up, we had the in-ring return of Saraya as she went up against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Now, to be honest, I thought this was a good match. I thought Saraya looked good. I don't think the crowd was really that into it, but for Saraya's first match returning to the ring, I thought she did well. I really did. I thought she did well. You had some good moments between her and Britt Baker. And, they look good. They look really good. Saraya's brother was in attendance in the front row, cheering her on. So I thought that was cool. But overall, I thought this was a good match for Saraya's return. It wasn't anything too crazy. She could have probably done a lot, but you know what? Being that she's coming back from healing from the neck issues that she had, I thought that this was a good way that she went about this match. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't do too less, she didn't do too much, and I think Dr. Britt Baker did a good job in this match as much as Saraya. But it took 2 rampages for Saraya to get the victory over Britt Baker. But you know what? And she was very emotional when she entered into the arena, during her ring entrance. And even after getting the victory, she hugged her brother. And, if anything, it's just really good to see Saraya back in the wrestling ring, actually wrestling. You know what I mean? She gets to continue her career. Folks, I know are going to say what they want about her. I know some like her, some don't like her. Some may think she'll be the next CM Punk or the female CM Punk. But you know what? She gets a chance to continue her pro wrestling career. So I'm all for it. Next up, we had the triple threat match for the AEW TNT Championship. The champion, Wardlow, defending against Powerhouse Hobbs and Samoa Joe. I was a little bit let down. I thought that this match could have been longer. And the outcome wasn't really that big of a fan of the outcome. I really wasn't that big of a fan of the outcome. But Samoa Joe was able to take advantage after Powerhouse Hobbs ate a Powerbomb Symphony. Joe came in with the ROH World TV belt, hit Wardlow, put the Coquina Clutch on Powerhouse Hobbs, and got the submission victory. And Samoa Joe is now a double champion. Your new TNT champion, and still your current ROH World TV champion. While I love Samoa Joe, I'm not that big of a fan of double champions, because I feel like within the last few years, double champions are overrated because it happens way too much. It happens too much. And I'm hoping next year that it won't happen as much. But just the last couple of years, we've seen double champions across promotions way too much. Way too much. And once again, now Samoa Joe is a double champion. But, he's getting showcased well since coming to AEW. So I give him that. And, I'm happy for him. I love Samoa Joe. It's just, I don't know how, I don't agree with the whole double champion status. It's overrated because it happens too much. So that's my take on that. Next up, we had the no disqualification tag team match. Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal versus Darby Allin and Sting. Of course, had a weird opening with the body bag, and then Darby Allin coming up with the skateboard, attacking the Sting clones, and just getting off to a preemptive start. Overall, it was an all right match. Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh both did get involved quite a bit in this match. I thought that was a really sick double team from Sting and Darby Allin on Satnam Singh, kind of that Scorpion Death Drop Coffin Drop combo. I thought that was pretty cool. They should probably do that as a tag team finisher sometime. You know what I mean? Why not? It worked well. It definitely worked well. But overall, Sting and Darby Allin did pick up the victory, which doesn't surprise me. Although Darby Allin did eat a guitar shot from Jeff Jarrett, um, anti-air coffin drop. I thought that was pretty sweet. But I mean, we have to also remember Sting hasn't lost in AEW. He hasn't had a ton of matches, but when he wrestles, he's on the winning side so far in AEW. So this outcome was really no different. So Sting and Darby Allin pick up the victory, and that was Jeff Jarrett's in-ring AEW debut. You know, got the guitar shot, got the strut a little bit, you know. So, thought it was a decent match, though. Thought it was a decent match. And it was no DQ, so had all the shenanigans. Anyway, next up, we had the interim AEW Women's World Championship match. The champion, Toni Storm, defending against Jamie Hayter. Now, I thought overall this was a great match. Both these ladies told a really great story. There was a good amount of build-up. Toni Storm got busted open. They both traded all sorts of moves and close pinfalls. And while Jamie Hayter did finally hit that Rainmaker clothesline and pin Toni Storm to pick up the victory, let's be honest with ourselves. Are y'all really pleased with how Jamie Hayter won? Like, in all seriousness, I'm not against her winning, but are y'all really happy with how Jamie Hayter won? She had a ton of help in this match. A ton of help. I mean, even after Rebel got kicked out, I mean, of course, Britt Baker came in. I mean, it took a lot. It took a lot. But my whole thing is, there was already the swerve earlier this year with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. We thought they were gonna break up, turn on each other, but we got swerved. And it's like, both Rebel and Britt Baker went all in to help Jamie Hayter win this title. And I don't know if I can really picture DMD taking, a back seat to Jamie Hayter. You know what I mean? But I'm sure something's gonna happen once Thunder Rosa returns, which I want to say she should be on her way back, but I don't know. I don't know. But at some point, either the titles are going to get unified, or there's going to be some sort of announcement where Thunder Rosa is going to get stripped and Jamie Hayter's going to be deemed the AEW Women's World Champion. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy for her. I know she's got quite a following, but honestly, I can't say that I'm that big of a fan of how she won. I really would have loved to have seen her and Toni Storm just battle it out. No interference. I mean, these two are friends, former friends. A lot of history. I mean, these two were in Stardom. They competed a long time in Stardom. Jamie Hayter was a former member of Oedo Tai, a former SWA champion. Tony Storm, former SWA champion. So I really would have liked to see Jamie Hayter, like, legit beat Tony Storm. Like, having all that extra help, I think just put a sour taste in my mouth for her title victory, you know? But, I mean, let's see how long she has the title. Let's see how she does. But she defeats Tony Storm and is your new interim AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter. Okay, we then had the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line as third time in this series, the Acclaim defend against Swerve in Our Glory. I would say this was definitely a great match. Overall, great match. I wouldn't say this was better than their first two, but it was still a great match. Overall, still a great match. And what I figured was going to happen ended up happening. And of course, Max Caster, he got busted open, bleeding from the mouth. So, man, there was a lot of blood tonight. Swerve was doing his usual shenanigans. Brought out a piece of the guardrail into play and was going to bring the pliers into play as well and tried to get Keith Lee to use them. Keith Lee was like, nope, not going out like that. We're not going to do it. Swerve slaps Keith Lee in the face. Keith Lee lifts up Max Caster. It was either Max Caster or Bowens, Anthony Bowens. And then Keith Lee upped and just left the ring. He was like, that's how it's going to be? Bye. I'm done. I'm out. And of course, Swerve had to fend for himself, but it wasn't enough, as the Acclaim was able to put away Swerve Strickland to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And Swerve in Our Glory are no more. Which, like I said, I figured it was going to happen. It was only a matter of time. So, incoming feud between Swerve and Keith Lee. Should be good. Should be really good. And then the main event. The AEW World Championship. The challenger, MJF. The champion, Jon Moxley. And I have to say, this match, quite a way to close out this pay-per-view. Jon Moxley looked like he was in control for most of the match, especially, taunting MJF. And, MJF had his moments as well. But this was definitely back and forth later on in the match. And this match definitely went the distance. And then the big swerve happened. Now, MJF was going to bring the Dynamite Diamond Ring into play. But William Regal came down to the ring and was like, nope, you better put it away. You better put it away. And of course, MJF tossed it, flipped off William Regal, and, it looked like Jon Moxley was going to take advantage. And not only that, not just one, but two refs were taken out in this match. It was crazy. It was really crazy. But Mox looked like he was going to put away MJF with a submission, the Bulldog choke. Got him in it. MJF was tapping. He was clearly tapping out. But Regal, was trying to tell Mox that, got to get the ref up. The ref's down. Got to get the ref up. And while Jon Moxley was doing that, Regal passes MJF a pair of brass knucks. And he takes those knucks and he decks Jon Moxley, covers him, 1, 2, 3, and MJF finally is your new AEW World Champion. So, William Regal turned on Mox and helped MJF pick up the victory. Well, I guess no more Blackpool Combat Club. I guess that stable is dead. I mean, there was already some dissension going on leading up to here, so I can't say that I'm shocked, but I mean, I just come to that conclusion. I just really come to that conclusion that Blackpool Combat Club's dead now. I mean, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. But yeah, MJF. And then William Regal had a little smirk on his face after the match was over, and MJF did a little snow angel on the rampway. But MJF is your new champ. Took a few years, but he's done it. But you know something? Jon Moxley deserves a vacation. He deserves a long waited vacation. You know, spend some time with his wife, his kid. I'm sure he hasn't had a lot of time spent with his kid, so hopefully he gets a good amount of vacation. I think Jon Moxley deserves a good vacation. So, good for him. Good for him. But the reign of MJF has begun. Well, let's see how it goes. So he will await the winner of the Championship Eliminator Tournament at Winter's Coming. So, overall, pretty solid pay-per-view. I definitely enjoyed it. Watched it with my dad. But overall, a solid pay-per-view. Very solid pay-per-view. And I know that ROH Final Battle will be December 10th. I don't think I'm going to catch that one, mainly because I will be at the DPW first anniversary show, which is on the same date. So, yeah. So I may have to order it and then catch the archive. I might just order it and catch the archive the following day. That's probably what I'll do. But anyway, let me know what y'all's thoughts are. What did you think of Full Gear? What did you think of the matches? What did you think of the outcome? What are you looking forward to next with AEW? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell while you're at it. And thank y'all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this content, as well as the pay-per-view. But for another Pro Wrestling Talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming, I'm Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. Hope everybody has a blessed day, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.